Hello everyone. Obviously I don't have two PS3s. The one on the left is the original 60 GB model. This is my brother's. The one on the right here is the 80 GB model. This one's mine. And I figure, instead of just showing the system, people know how they look like. But there are differences between the 60 and the 80. One thing you'll notice, let me see if I can get a little closer and see if it picks up on the camera. You'll notice the 60 has chrome and the 80 doesn't. This is just paint. This actually has chrome on it, and even this is chrome and this is just paint. So that's a cost-cutting saver that Sony did when they did the 80. Another thing is the card reader. There's no card reader. This is just attached to it. It won't open. Now, if we get a little closer, you're going to see some other differences. On the 60, I don't know if this is okay. It sort of picks up. Maybe if it might be kind of hard to see, but there's 4 USB ports and you got vents here. On the 80, there is only 2 USB ports, but no vents here. Not only that, this is like half the weight from the 60. This thing's a beast. Man, this thing's heavy. But the 80 gig is pretty light. And let's see, on the back here there are some differences. If you look over here, you'll notice it's a little different. Now on the 60, you got, of course, the power plug and the switch here, which is in the same place. You got your multi-AV out, digital out, your LAN, and your HDMI. But on the on the 80, the ports are in different areas. The LAN line is all the way to the right, then the HDMI, then the digital out, and then your multi-AV out. So they switched them around, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this inside. But there's a good amount of less metal inside. That's part of the reason why the 80 gigs, or the newer versions of the PS3s, are much lighter. If you look at the original 60, you're going to see a lot more metal inside. Look at all this metal inside. Compare that to the 80, and I only see metal over there, and it looks like this is like a dead area, open space on this side. Now, if you were to buy a PS3, which version would be the best version to get? Well, first choice would be get a 60. Why is that? Well, the 60 can play PS1, PS2, and PS3. The 80 gig only plays PS1 games and PS3 games, because they took out the PS2 hardware, and thus no backwards compatibility for PS2 games. But it's not exactly a bad version to get. The problem with the 60 gigs now is that if it breaks, depending on what breaks, Sony's most likely not going to give you another 60 or even bother fixing the 60 gigs because they don't support it anymore. Only the newer versions they do. So, if you're really into the 60 gig models, you may want to keep good care of it. Another thing they changed, and I'm going to see if I can do this real quick, is the way you put the hard drive. Because obviously you can change the hard drives. So let me do that real quick. Let me just open these doors up. And you notice the doors open differently. And that's because of this. You'll notice they're a little different. This one, they both are held down with one screw, but the difference is when you take the screw out, in order to get the hard drive out, you have to get this little handle thing and push it towards the right and then pull out. Because the hard drive, let me grab a hard drive real quick. The hard drive sits in like this. It actually sits in sideways. So it's in like this. You pull it out and then it comes out. The 80 gig actually is straight in. So it sits in like that. You take the screw out and you got this little door, this little handle thing that pulls out, and then you just pull it out. So it just pulls straight out, change the hard drive, and there you go. This is an 80 gig hard drive that actually was in the original, in this PS3. But I changed it, I upgraded the hard drive to a 320 gig hard drive, 7200 RPM. So that's why I have that hard drive lying around. So when it's done with it, you just put it back on there like so. Another thing you're going to notice is the actual black casing of the PS3. Because if you notice, let me grab this out again. The casing on the original 60 gig has a transparent black plastic, but the new 80 gig is solid. So you can see the difference. Now I'm not going to say which type of black finish I like better, but usually the solid blacks I'm assuming is cheaper than the transparent, because the transparent you have to mix the plastic in a different way, and they probably did it this way just for, again, cost saving. So that's a neat little thing they did. And there are some advantages with the new 80 gig model. For one, because there's less components in here, they consolidated the components in the 80 gig. When it's on, whether you're watching a movie, playing a game, you can feel the air blowing on the side, and it's still pretty cool. The 60 gig gets really, really hot. I mean, the 60 gig is pretty much a heater. This thing gets extremely hot, even when watching a movie. So if you're really concerned about heat, you know, if you're in an area or a room that gets really hot really quickly, this thing will warm up your room. Not so much with the 80, but this will get really, really hot. But anyway, that's pretty much it. That's just a comparison for the PS3s, and have a good one.